Okie dokie. We have Coops on the High Elves versus Pigman 202's Lizardmen. It looks like we got ourselves a good old-fashioned kite game with triple Shadow Walker and Tyrion versus a lot of healing. Just like a lot of healing. So much. We have Tyrion, Sunfang, Faint and Riposte and Stand Your Ground, plus the Heart of Avalon for some healing if it gets really low. Mage of Metal with Plague of Rust and Searing Doom, and some helpful mana regen items. 4 Spearmen frontline, 2 Dragon Princes, 1 Silver Helm with Shields, and triple Shadow Walker, the slightly more elite Shadow Warrior variant, trained by Elite and R. On the other side for the Lizardmen, we do have a lot of cavalry. It looks like 4 Cold One Riders, and then a whole bunch of Saurus Warriors. Looks like 5 of those guys. 1 Chameleon Skink, 2 Rev Crystals, Mazdamundi with his Net, Apotheosis, and then Bound, Ruination of Cities, and Banishment. Now 1 Skink Over Javelins, which immediately gets charged by Dragon Princes. Shadow Walkers are in range now. They have gotten spotted by Lizardmen with those predatory senses. They can detect stalked units from further away, and then the Shadow Walkers immediately start firing at Mazdamundi. Maz is going to be hard to snipe out that way. He has 50% missile resistance due to various different abilities he has. Dragon Princes get into a fight with some Cold One Riders, and Searing Doom is dodged by Pigman's Saurus. Silver Helm's trading pretty well with Cold One Riders. Dragon Princes will do even better on that front. But over here, we have 2 Cold One Riders teaming up, and this Dragon Prince is going to have a bad time. Looks like Tyrion's going to rush over there and pop some buffs for those poor souls. A quick Sunfang down the line tickles the Saurus a little bit as the High Elf Spears try and hold. Silver Helms not enjoying their time fighting these Cold One Riders anymore. It looks like Cold One's got an Apotheosis or something, and the Dragon Princes are crushing it. Another Searing Doom tries to kill these Saurus Warriors off while the Shadow Warriors fire at the Rev Crystal. It's 140 armor, makes it a really steep target for them to try and kill. Oof, and these Cold One Riders get Overcast Plague of Rusted. So they're bronze shields and now only 30 armor versus triple Shadow Walkers who are all trying to shoot them and secure their position in the back line. They do get an Apotheosis, trying to keep them in the fight for just a little bit longer. Really shut those Shadow Walkers down. Silver Helm is about dead. Both Dragon Princes are at half HP and doing okay, but the High Elf Spearman front line is starting to have some issues. One of them terror-outed off from the Rev Crystal and Mazda, allowing the Saurus to come through. So the Shadow Walker's time to keep firing is becoming quite limited. Dragon Prince is coming back to the fold, also Tyrion. Push off these Cold One Riders. There's another Cold One Rider that is about to leave, and a Searing Doom in the distance does a lot of damage to those other Cold One Riders. Coop's doing a good job shutting down the enemy cavalry, while Pigman is doing a good job of getting through that front line, really supporting his infantry there. And, I mean, he did get his Cold One Riders through this side. There are 4 Cold One Riders fighting 3 better High Elf cavalry. It's going to be a tough task to get into the back line. Another Plague of Rust Overcast on these Cold One Riders. And that 30 armor is going to be great for the Dragon Princes. Dragon Princes have amazing stats. They just don't have good armor piercing, so if you can take the armor away, you're in business. Shadow Walkers still trying to defend themselves from various Cold One Rider incursions. And Apotheosis tried to keep the Cold One Riders in the game. It did not work. More and more High Elf Spearmen are being peeled off, though. They could not buy their Shadow Walkers enough time to really fire in on the actual threats. They were spent most of their time being distracted by this cav that's... I mean, it's threatening them. It's not like they could ignore it, but... yeah, Pigman hasn't let them just sit and shoot at Mazda or sit and shoot at the Rev Crystals. Maybe even the Saurus. Of the High Elf Spear front line... oof, that Silver Helm's back with 1 leadership. But anyway, of the High Elf Spear front line, all 4 of them are routing? Nope, 1 is still technically in it. And Saurus are pursuing off those other ones to keep them from coming back. Dragon Princes are now starting a desperate gamble in the back line, trying to charge these Saurus Warriors to death, cycle charging between 2 different groups, but they're still closing in ominously. Shadow Walkers still have 10 ammunition, but they could use a lot more. Mazda's at half HP. Nice Ruination of Cities does some good tickle damage to the Shadow Walkers. Gets that one down below half HP. And Mazda, whoa, really nice job there from Pigman. netting the Dragon Princes in his Saurus, allowing them to actually sit and fight. The Saurus's main problem is just if the, Dragon Princes are allowed to charge in, then out, then in, then out, then in, then out. All that jazz. Overcasted Plague of Rust onto the Bastildon, still leaving it with 80 armor, which is rather impressive that it could take an Overcasted Plague of Rust to be that fine. But with 3 Shadow Walkers shooting at it, they still do have high enough weapon strength to do decent damage, unless they miss entirely like that volley just did. Bounce power is about dead even. 6 volleys, 8 volleys, and 6 volleys for the Shadow Walkers. There we go. That was a good shot from them. Rev Crystal is going down. I wonder if there is an Apotheosis or a Rev Crystal charge for it to keep it in the fight. It is going to route off. And there's a Bound Banishment trying to slurp up the Shadow Walkers with the most ammunition. It is walking alongside them, but not hitting them just yet. There it's getting some really good damage onto those Shadow Walkers, who have seen better days. Dragon Prince is going to get hit with their own Sunfang, but they're not infantry. They won't take a lot of damage, and they have fire resistance. They'll be fine. Well, I shouldn't say fine. They're terror routing while netted yet again in these Saurus. Really liking the net use here from Mazda. The other Dragon Princes are routed off. That's all the cavalry. We are, for the High Elves, we're getting close to just being Tyrion and 2 melee Shadow Walkers left in this game. This Shadow Walker says it has only 7 volleys left. But I feel like they've been firing at 7 volleys for a while. In any case, they route off. Boz is getting very low. Shield the Old One's trying to give him damage resistance. Now he's 20% damage resistance on top of the 50% missile resist. But Tyrion is gunning straight for him. There doesn't seem to be an Apotheosis or a Rev Crystal to save Mazda now. 500 HP for that poor man. And he does route. Rev Crystal uses a charge. It is going to try and heal up Mazda. His route takes him right next to Tyrion, but then he will kind of start to get away. Why are you pathing so close to Tyrion, dude? You're tempting fate. As Saurus and the Rev Crystal lock up Tyrion. Searing Doom hits the Saurus Warriors, doing good damage. Bounce power is still dead even. Some Shadow Walkers have returned. The other Shadow Walkers are all out of ammo. They are now just melee troops. Overpriced melee troops. Overpriced not meaning Shadow Walkers in general overpriced, I mean, without any ammunition, you wouldn't want to pay how much you pay for Shadow Walkers for them. Another Overcasted Plague of Rust, while Dragon Princes charge straight into this Bastillodon, though it does get a counter charge out. Whose leadership will break first? It looks like the Rev Crystals does, and he casts a heal just as he's leaving to heal up these Saurus, but he is in fact going to rout and maybe even die. Did get another route off the Dragon Princes, though, so that is good. Chameleon Skinks trying to rally Mazda. Their shots are going backwards into the Shadow Walkers. That can be really hard to control, but they do need to fire straight forward into the Metal Mage to route her off to save Mazda. But they continue to fire at these guys, and that doesn't feel like a player mistake to me, because like he can't control where they're firing. And oh my god, those Chameleon Skinks shitting the bed might cost Pigman this game. Because, I mean, Mazda had plenty of health to rally if they had fired at the target literally in front of them that they were getting attack orders to attack, rather than firing backwards into Shadow Walkers off in the distance. That is a tragic loss. Now the Chameleon Skinks are going after the Mage of Metal with a vengeance. I just wish they had done that, when he was still alive. Without Mazda Mundi, several of the Saurus are going to start routing away from Tyrion, who is a truly menacing melee combatant. Also, some Shadow Walkers firing in is not helping the Lizardmen leadership situation. For the High Elves, we still have an almost dead Dragon Prince. We have an almost dead Shadow Walker with some ammunition. We have an almost dead Metal Mage, who is currently getting poked by Chameleon Stalkers. We have a quite healthy Tyrion, an almost dead Shadow Walker with no ammunition, and an almost dead Shadow Walker with no ammunition. Metal Mage is routing down to 260 HP. Chameleon Skinks trying to make up for their past failures. Oh, and we have a very healthy Saurus off in the distance. That should let this Bastildon and Rev Crystal come back. Tyrion's not going to chase it down. He's going to go after these Saurus Warriors instead. Dragon Prince is trying to rejoin the fight. I wonder if they should just be used to chase off Saurus Warriors. It looks like that's not going to be the case. They are diving straight in for some extra shock damage on those Saurus. And the Rev Crystal is rejoining the fight. How many charges does he have left? 3. Okay. So Pigman's been cycling through them pretty good. Rev Crystal hops in. If he can route those Dragon Princes one more time, he will shatter them. 4 leadership while terror routing, but the Bastillodon itself routes again. And the Dragon Princes so far have just Terror out. It doesn't count, so they will come back. Alright, Shadow Walkers fighting the remnants of these Saurus. I think the Saurus should win that one. Their leadership's not doing so hot, but like stats-wise, they should beat the Shadow Walkers. But their leadership just dipped too much. He couldn't do it. Rev Crystal routing off. Saurus Warriors grinding away on Tyrion. And these Dragon Princes charging along the arrows. I worry that the arrows are going to hit them in the back a little bit. A more Saurus rout. Lizardmen are mostly relying on this very healthy Chameleon Skink with no ammo and that healthy Saurus in the distance. I'm going to fast forward while these sides reconverge. Tyrion and the Dragon Princes continue to chase stuff off as the Saurus creep up. Bounce power gets worse for the Lizardmen. Tyrion has charged into the Saurus. Unfortunately, he casts Sunfang at a bit of an awkward angle, so it does do some damage, but not as much as he would have liked. Other Saurus are rallying, and these Shadow Walkers, who have been firing for 55 years, still have 2 volleys, apparently. I have my doubts, but okay. Standard ground, giving the Dragon Princes pretty insane melee defense, but their HP is just so low. There's so many Saurus that I imagine they will at least take 1 or 2 hits and probably rout off here any second now. Wow, really not taking any damage. Okay, we'll check back in on them. Chameleon Skink's going to finish off the Shadow Walkers. Other Shadow Walkers trying to rejoin the fight. Still 218 HP. Saurus seriously haven't hit them one time. I don't know how much they've been swinging, but damn. Dragon Princes retreating for now. They took literally 0 damage on that charge into all those Saurus Warriors after all that time. There we go. Their leadership spikes down. Will they shatter? They take a little bit of damage. But they do not shatter. They're fine. They're chilling. Shadow Walkers over here have 1 more volley. And Tyrion is taking a lot of damage in these Saurus Warriors. Now, the only way for Lizardmen to win this is for Tyrion's Heart of Avalorn not to proc. So everything else besides Tyrion needs to rout, and then the Saurus need to grind him down so much that he just naturally routs before his Heart procs. Dragon Prince is down to 0 HP. They literally die fighting those Saurus Warriors, and Chameleon Skinks are going to chase off Shadow Walkers. The other Shadow Walkers are firing their 1 ammunition into the Chameleon Skinks for an awfully long time for having 1 ammo. I wonder if it counts as like 1 ammunition for the full unit, but it takes a depleted unit a long time to fire it. There we go. Tyrion's taking so much damage. It's funny, but actually doing this much damage to him, yeah, is a bad thing, because now he's got a Heart of Avalorn proc, and full health Tyrion all of a sudden means army losses. And I cannot believe that the Chameleon Skinks fucked that up so bad and somehow shot at Shadow Walkers super far behind them instead of shooting at the target. Pigman was literally telling them to fight. That's so fucked up. Tyrion and the Metal Mage and all of the Shadow Walkers did amazing. The Spearmen got rolled. Dragon Princes overall did fine. The Silver Helms also got rolled. For Pigman, Mazda was really good. I liked a lot of the nets. He obviously provided a ton of healing support, and he could have gotten Mazda back. Again, treacherous Chameleon Skinks hadn't abandoned him. Rev Crystals both did a lot of healing, a lot of good work. The Saurus Warriors put in a ton of chopping, a ton of slapping. Cold One Riders, he used them pretty well. He was outmatched in the cavalry game, so he had to do what he could to disrupt the Shadow Walkers, and he bought his front line a lot of times. So I did like the Cold One play, even if they didn't end up beating Dragon Princes and stuff. And his Chameleon Skinks got incredible value, so really a good job there to both players. It was a good game. It's interesting to see Shadow Walker Kite work out, especially against so much healing, but they got it done. Roar! Subscribe, yes, yes.